Okay, in this video I'm going to show you a pretty common problem in a lot of vehicles. This one here is a 2006, it's a Lincoln Navigator. Doesn't necessarily have to be a Navigator, it can be a Ford Expedition, it's all very similar. This one here has got a lot of noise coming from the right side wheel, and after lifting it up, you can see what the problem is. A lot of movement in the bearing itself, the hub bearing, so we're going to change the hub bearing. So let me get this wheel off. And I'm going to show you what to do step by step and exactly how to replace it. Okay, now we have the wheel off the vehicle, and we're getting ready to take off the brake caliper. We're going to remove the caliper, we're going to remove the mounting bracket, and we're going to remove the rotor from the vehicle. Let me just add this too. In this particular vehicle, somebody has already disconnected the air suspension. But if you're lifting the vehicle up and you have air suspension, make sure you turn the air suspension off. All right? The way you get these clips off is you just push on the clip, you push it back, and you pull it out. And it comes right out of the caliper. And there's a little clip right here that just pushes right out. All right, once you have that off, we're going to take the caliper off. And the way we do that is just pop out these little clips in the back of the caliper. Should be two of them. And you take a Torx bit, and you can get in there with a Torx bit and unscrew the caliper from the truck. Once you've got it loosened up, we're just going to pry the caliper off the truck. What I'm doing now is I'm just pushing the piston back in a little bit so I can get the caliper off the truck because it was just a little bit tight. Right, and you can take the caliper off and never let the caliper hang by itself. Always put a hanger underneath it and support it so that it's not hanging on its own. And just put it out of the way. We're going to take the brake pads off, and now we're going to remove this mounting bracket right here. It should be an 18mm nut in the back that we're going to take off. And then we'll take that bracket off. If you've got air, obviously you can use an air power to take it off. I'm just showing you now how to do it without the air. Take the bolts all the way out. And we're going to take the bracket totally off the truck, and we're going to remove the rotor. We'll take that off and out of the way. The rotor's going to come off the truck like this. And then what we're going to do is we're going to pop this cap off right here. We'll take that cap off of here and we'll unscrew the nut underneath there. And then we're going to take out the bolts from in the back over here. And we're going to remove this from the truck. So let me get started on it and show you how it goes. Right out. We're going to reuse this, so put it on the side for now. We're going to remove that nut right there. It's probably like a 15 millimeter, probably about 13 millimeter. Way you can take that off if you have the wheel off, or just take a screwdriver and you can just hold it and unscrew the nut. And we're going to save this too because we're going to need to put this back on. Remove that. And we're going to go around in the back of the knuckle, and we're going to remove the bolts in the back of the knuckle to take off the hub bearing. So let me get started on that. I'll show you how that goes. I'm going to take out the 4 bolts I told you about. The ABS sensor we're not going to worry about because the new caliper, the new hub bearing, as I just saw, comes with the new ABS sensor already mounted in it. So we're going to leave the ABS sensor connected. We're going to take these bolts out. Obviously, if you have air, you can shoot these out by air, but I'm just showing you how to do it by hand. Get all 4 of the screws out, you're pretty much all set, except for the ABS sensor. We just have to remove that, and I'll show you how to do that in just a moment. You're going to obviously need the bolts over again that we took off of the ABS and the hub bearing assembly. So we'll just put that on the side for now. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to, just wait this 1 second here. We're going to remove the ABS sensor, which is, I don't know what all this wiring is, but somebody altered all the electrical wiring in here. It's a real mess. But we're going to take the ABS sensor out. Going to unplug the sensor itself, and the way you do that is up underneath here. There's a little pin. You push that pin in and it unplugs right out. So you just push the pin in and you just pop it right out. That disconnected, we're just going to see what the heck they did in here. They got it zip tied in place. I don't know what they did, but we're going to cut that out of there. We're not going to be able to undo it. We're just going to have to remove it. We're going to take out this little screw right here. It's a little 8 millimeter. use this also. What they did, but it looks like they bypassed the air suspension and they got a solenoid and stuff in here, so okay, sorry about that. But somebody had taken the solenoid probably from the air suspension that was in there, and they just zip tied it up out of here. So we're just going to put this on the side for now. We're going to zip tie it back on once we're finished. Once the ABS sensor is disconnected, totally disconnected, now we're ready to take off the bearing itself. We have the nut out, so it's ready to come off. So it's no good. We don't have to worry about reusing it. So we're just going to bang it a few times, and it comes right out. And then we're going to feed the sensor right through here. Hopefully it fits through. It doesn't, so we're just going to take out that. We're going to remove this screw right here so we can get the ABS sensor out. And the reason I'm going to do that is not so much for this one, because this is no good. I can just cut it and throw it away, but I got to feed the new one back through there. So let me just remove that, and I'll show you how that goes. And that's it. The hub bearing is off. And let me grab the new one, and we'll put it back together. Okay, that's the new hub bearing now. Now remember, your ABS sensor was facing up to the top, so that's the way we want to put it back in. So let's just get it into its position. We'll catch a couple of bolts in the back. Remember, we're going to reuse the bolts that we took off. We're going to use these all over again. So we'll catch them into the back. And before you tighten the bolts up, you catch all four of them and turn them in as far as you can by hand, and then we'll do with the ratchet, but turn them in as far as you can by hand first. The little bolts. Remember, if you have air and you want to use air, by all means use it, but if you're doing this in the street or in your garage at home, you got to do it by hand. Screw all the bolts in before you make everything tight. Snug them all in. So that way the bearing goes into the knuckle fairly evenly. Once you've got them all in there, now you can make everything tight. Okay, now once we have the bearing tight, we're going to put the ABS sensor back where it belongs, behind this backing plate, or the dust shield I should say. And we're going to install the screw that we took out, screw it in by hand. Once you got it screwed in by hand, then you can tighten it with the ratchet. Make sure you screw it in by hand first though. Just snug, it doesn't have to be tight. As you recall, we disconnected this. As you recall, we disconnected this from right up in here. So we're going to put that back in the same way we took it out. Doesn't have to be real tight. We're just going to snug it in there because it seats itself and it'll keep it from getting caught up in anything. Right. And we're going to put the ABS sensor back into the clips that it came out. Let me show you real quick. Reconnected the sensor here, put them back into each one of their clips right here as it belongs. I'm going to reconnect this up into the top right up in here. Plugged it back into its harness, and we're going to re-plug this back in where it came out right up in here. And then I'm going to zip tie this back up and out of the way as they had it before. So let me do that and I'll show you how that goes. Back on. We're going to reinstall the cap that we previously took off. You just put it on the top here and just tap it, and it pops right in. Make sure it's flush all the way in as it belongs. And then what we're going to do is we're going to reinstall our rotor, and we'll start putting our brakes back on. What I always do to make it a little bit easier, try and get everything caught, is screw a lug nut onto it. It'll hold your rotor in place while you try to reattach everything else onto here. All right, now as you remember, we took our mounting bracket off of off here, so we're going to reattach the mounting bracket. You'll lay it in place and reinstall your bolts. Screw everything in as far as you can by hand, and then we'll tighten it up with the ratchet. Alright, we'll tighten the bracket. And we'll tighten the bottom bolt also. And now we'll get the brakes and put them back on. Okay, after your mounting bracket is tight, now we're going to reinstall our caliper and put that on. We lay our brake pad in. We're going to grab our caliper that we have suspended over here. And we're going to reinstall the caliper onto the truck. Remember, do everything by hand. Don't do anything with the ratchet until after everything is caught. And once you have them tight, you're just going to snug them. You don't have to go real tight, just fairly snug. That's it, tight. Then we're going to reinstall the caps that we took off to keep any debris from going inside the bolt holes. And we're going to reinstall the clip. There's the anti-rattle clip. And the way I usually do it is you connect the bottom. We're going to catch this little clip here, right in here where it belongs, right there, on the bottom. And then we're going to push this over to here. All right, now that the hub bearing is finished, a normal tire or hub bearing is supposed to have no play whatsoever, as you can see with this one here. So that's it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Thank you.